I would like to present to you the first speaker, Manuela Weber. Manuela Weber is innovation driver for digital business, enthusiast for international exchange and business connections, IT projects manager, organizer and moderator of the monthly event JCI Europe Live. She is JCI European Development Counselor 2020 and she has around 10 years of leadership experience and thinks the future is female, with more women taking over leadership positions. Manuela, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anastasia, for your kind introduction. In times where a small virus can stop economies, travel, social life worldwide, we need people that take on responsibility, that lead. In times where we face trade wars between, for example, United States and China, we need people that lead to bridge the gap between countries and continents. In times where our lives and businesses are disrupted by technology, we need people that take the lead. Many more examples could be named. All have the same requirement: leadership. Hello, everyone. In this panel, we will discuss the leader of the future. How should he, she, they look like? Our 6 speakers are experts in various areas, in digitalization and communication, and managing an extraordinary life after a huge change. They will present us how they expect the near future and what kind of leaders and leadership they recommend for the future scenarios. And we will learn about the role of leadership in JCI. A few organizational remarks. For translation, 2 speakers will have their speeches in Russian, but I think that's no problem at all. You can turn the language on the website on the right-hand side. And also at the end of the discussion, we like to open the panel to questions from the audience. So please comment your questions to the speakers in the chat on the website. We will find the chat window on the right side of the video by clicking on comments. Depending on the time at the end, we will be able to answer all or just a few questions. Yeah, and so let's go for the first speaker, Chiara Milani. Chiara Milani is journalist, anchorwoman, and international speaker who already provided speeches and training courses to leaders of more than 120 countries. She is the first and so far only European woman elected as JCI president in 2013. She is currently the editor-in-chief of a multimedia magazine with a daily TV show in Italy. Chiara thinks that the future is female. So Chiara, the stage is yours.
Dankeschön, Manuela. Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Yes, I'm keeping on smiling despite we are all facing a time of huge uncertainty, because I do see in front of us pink horizons. And the reason is that, as our chairperson just mentioned, I do strongly believe that the future is not just, but also female. But before talking about the future, let's give a look to the current situation. I will not show you any PowerPoint, because when I speak, I love to look you into the eyes directly. I know I'm not talking about a topic that may be so popular for everybody, but I can assure you it is very relevant for everybody. So please follow me. Let's start by saying that, as UN Women underlined, the impact of a crisis is never gender neutral, and COVID-19 is no exception. If you had the chance to give a look to the UN Secretary General policy brief published last spring, you probably notice that the impact of COVID-19 on women is devastating, pretty in every sector of the society. We can see that it is deepening the precedent inequalities, and it is putting at risk the limited gains of the last few decades. But because we are at a business conference, let me add that according always to UN Women, countless of women in economies of every sizes are losing income. And because of school closed, the care of sick family members, of elderly, the unpaid care, and the domestic work burden has literally exploded. Now, if we are talking about employees, the pay gap among men and women became worse. And if we are talking about women who are self-employed in Europe and Central Asia, after COVID-19, almost 55% of women who were self-employed lost their job. It means around 1 every 4, compared to around 1 every 5 of men. And we must also add that it seems that by the end of the pandemic, 11 million of girls will leave school, and most of them will not return. So this is the ugly face of the crisis that we are all facing. But every medal has two faces. One is the challenge and the other one is the solution. And if from one side women are the ones who are suffering the most because of what is happening, from the other side women seems to be already part of the solution. And so while both mass and social media are not really talking too much about the challenges that half of the world population is facing, from the other side, they are underlining that women leaders are facing COVID-19 pandemic better than men leaders. Oh, this is not my opinion. I can quote both Euronews or Business Insider that talked about recent university studies, according to which countries led by women are facing better what we all know is going on in the world. Now the question is why? Again, there can be several answers. One answer could be that as women, we usually take less risks than men. So women who are leading countries right now don't want to risk the life of people who is living there. Another one is that while men are more task-oriented, women are more interpersonal-oriented. What does it mean? It means that women are better in communication. Now, I believe that nowadays more than ever, everybody understood the importance of communication, and I'm a journalist, so I know it very well. But I will not go in deep into this topic because I believe that one of my colleagues will talk about it later, so you will already have the chance, but I thought it was important to mention it at least. Said so, I will spend the last minute I have to answer to one of your possible questions. But Chiara, what about the economy? What about the long-term consequences of saving life with a lockdown, as example? Now, I will at this point quote an Italian professor, university professor of political economy, who told me personally, you know, when a company closes, you can reopen it, you can rebuild it. But when someone dies, it's finished. Said so, of course, he added, it's a tough balance to keep. And I believe this is exactly the key. Balance. Women are outstanding in keeping the balance. While men are more task-oriented, we are more used to look at the overall situation. We keep daily the balance between our job and our family, our work duties and domestic duties, among the care of our children, elderly, husband, animals, and maybe a bit also ourselves. We are very good in keeping the balance among the family members, children quarreling, adults who are quarreling, so great in crisis management and these sort of things. And we are always very good in keeping the balance between sleeping 4 hours a day, maybe, just to keep all these things in balance, and waking up in the morning without looking ugly, first of all, for self-respect. So we need in this moment leaders who are able to take care of the complexity of a situation, because if you're leading a country, a company, or an NGO, you must first of all save lives, because there will not be a second chance for those who die. And then you must at the same time plan the social and economic recovery. And last but not the least, you must avoid panic and keep the public opinion quiet to avoid worse risk. So considering that out of 194 countries, just 10% of them are led by women with great results, as we mentioned in Northern Europe, Norway, Finland, Iceland, Denmark, Central Europe, Germany, and again in Asia, Middle East, Taiwan, or of course, New Zealand. I believe there's great room for improvement. I know I just had a few seconds to tell you that I believe this is our chance to say that, of course, Rome was not built in one day, and as Italian, I know it very well, but there's a time for men to lead and a time for women to lead. And this is our time to tell you that the future is not just, but also female.
Thank you very much, dear Chiara. It's a great, I mean, you are also the only woman on this panel, and it's a great point to mention the female part, and also to see the differences, and especially in the COVID crisis, we have seen, as you mentioned, how successful women can lead countries even better than men, and still we have more men. So yes, it's a very good point that you mentioned here. And you also mentioned the communication part. So for this, we will come to our next speaker, our second speaker, Konstantin Abramov. He is General Director of the VTSIOM, the Public Opinion Research Foundation, and also Chairman of the Board of the VTSIOM Foundation. He holds a PhD in psychology and was National President of JCI Russia in 2014. He will speak Russian, so for the English translation, take care. Konstantin Abramov thinks that the future belongs to great communicators. Konstantin, scena wasza.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So I'll be making a presentation in English and in Russian, and that will be translated into English. So I would like to welcome all of the keynote speakers and all the attendees and all the participants that watch our conference online. And I would like to thank in particular Chiara, because she made a presentation on behalf of all the women and of all the present women that take part in our conference today. So it just looked great as usual. And I would like to say hello to all my friends. Carrera, so a great friend of mine. So we've met several times at different events, and I'm very happy to see you. So unfortunately, it's through the video channel that we can meet today. But I would like to give you an overview of all those recent developments in Russia. So I'm the director of the research institute that has lots of information relating to the perception, to the feelings of people in the country and the way they see the challenges facing our country. And yes, we do have this great opportunity to make a comparative analysis between our data and international data. So there are some painful points, and we see that the opinion of our society just coincide on this painful point. There is one Russian verb saying that it's one event will be perceived as a war, but by other people the same event can be perceived as a martyrs. So, and we are living through the pandemic times, and obviously many industries have been affected, many people have been affected, so many people have lost their jobs and they just losing their lives. I mean, all these life opportunities and business opportunities, and this is of great concern to Russian people in particular. Yes, we've overcome the pandemic peak, but not all the people have managed to make it into the decent level of salary and to get back to better positions. Nevertheless, we are optimistic because we know that there are certain pillars that our economy can be based upon, and it's not about robotics. Yes, we do use the technology, but this will be the technology linked to communications. So the recent developments that we had seen in our research institute, and I topped the rating of the CEOs or presidents of the consulting companies, and this very fact, me being number one in this rating, means that the public and the civil opinion is important. So this customer behavior will impact the economic development. And also, if we look at economic development, it will be the role of leaders. So how quick they're going to be in their response, how well are they going to be in communicating and interacting with their counterparts and colleagues. So this all about effective communication. That is something that I've been doing for 10 years, and I'm also a visiting professor at the Russian university, and also deliver training sessions both in Russia and abroad. I mean, those sessions that are organized by GCI. So let's look at effective communications and those skills that bring people together, that pool their resources. So the first place that will be like intellectual human resources, that resource number one is the planet-wise. So they're just pulling these efforts and trying to bring people together and addressing this most unbelievable task in a very coordinated, concerted way. This is a great achievement. So I would like to show now one presentation. So the presentation that I have prepared for you to explain several approaches that is used in my training studies in different forms. So one of this training has been designed for the Russian leadership pool. So these are several approaches and the several slides. Slide number one, it's wonderful monkey. And the phrase that says why the naturalness is in ugliness. So this is one of the statements that we have singled out of all these responses that we receive in Russia, and based on the data that was shared with us by our colleagues. So what's the difference between ordinary people and some leaders? Because we have 95% of ordinary people and only 5% of leaders. So for this 5% of leaders would be very like agile, and they will be changing very quickly. For example, if this monkey will leave the bathroom and then in order to attend some official ceremony that will put on a modern suit, or for example if the monkey is invited for an athletic competition, and then it will put on some sports wear. So that's all about reasonability, because leaders would act reasonably according to the purpose. So they just stretch the boundaries of their comfort zone, and they just trying to mingle in with the society or the community they find themselves in. So they're trying to be on the same page with these people. So the next statement is why the beauty is in difference. So strong teams, we know that if we look at the soccer team, that would be the central field player. We have another player, the forwarder that would make all these passes, and we need different people. We need people of different nationalities, different ages, different genders. I mean, this very varied composition will make a team stronger, and the team will perform better. It will perform better if it includes people with different experience, with different views or worldviews and opinions. So, and it is up to the leader to build up such a team. So why is it necessary to start the contact without perceptions, like naked? So one of my teachers, so the Node B founder, explained it to me that he wanted to become an astronaut at one point in his time, because he wanted to travel to another planet and to meet an alien there. And I said, and why? What next? So I didn't visit another planet. I didn't meet any aliens. But it is today that I walk along the streets and I do see many aliens. Indeed. So these are the aliens, and you need to communicate with them. I mean, you need to ask questions based on their interest, or be guided by their interest and ideas. People are different, and the beauty is in difference. And of course, there is some ugliness to it, and we need to be reasonable. We need to try to be on the same page, speak their language. I mean, try to fit in with all the requirements and needs in order to be in line with the modern society.
Spasiba. Thank you very much, Konstantin Abramov, for the great insights in communication, and not only communicating like one direction, but also listening to what the others say and how the perceptions are. At least that's what I understood. And what great pictures comparing a monkey and yeah, and our situations. Good. Then let's go to our next speaker. It is Felipe Carrera. He is international author, speaker, professor, trainer, and consultant in more than 50 countries in 4 continents. He has an extensive experience in the business and the academic world, enabling to create a unique and fun learning experience by helping professionals and organizations to do their own digital transformation. You hear already the keywords, and now following networking, digital marketing, e-learning, communication, and e-work. So from the part of communication and listening, we now go further to how can I do it, for example. So Felipe Carrera thinks that the future is digital. And so Felipe, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Manuela. It is a pleasure to be with you all. I'm coming from beautiful Lisbon behind me, and I have to give my big hug to Chiara, to my good friend Konstantin, that is always a great host in Moscow, and of course to you, Manuela, that you are leading this panel, and very well indeed. And of course, Kevin, our Secretary General, that has a very difficult job this difficult year. So he's actually one of the people that is in front of the digital transformation of the organization. So I want to share some ideas with you, with the whole audience, because there are some points that I think they needed to be covered during this challenging times, let's say. So the first thing that I want to give you is a scenario. What is going to happen in the next months and years? First of all, this is very easy. Every economist is saying, okay, we will have a recession. That's easy. No, there is a no-brainer there. So what will companies do? Will cut costs. Where will they cut costs? Before they cut in advertising, in training, and those cuts were already to the bone in later times. Now, it's the only possibility is to cut on the way we work. So this conjugates with another thing, is that people gain new skills. So before when we talked about remote work, it was like, oh, this is a kind of pilot program that we have. It's interesting, but we are going back to the way we were, because there is nothing really interesting about. We like to socialize and everything. And nowadays, the question is the opposite. So it worked, and we are having huge office for what? What is the return on investment of an office? So these kind of questions, when in the previous crisis, the return was, what is the return on investment in advertising? Now is, what is the return on investment on office? Do we work the correct way? Do we do too much meetings not effective? I like very much the presentation about Konstantin, because it went to the area of communication. Are we communicating in the correct way? Because never in the history of mankind we had such a menu of means to communicate. And another thing is, are we happier? What is the life-work balance? Because it's about nowadays is either you work or you have a life. Is that the logic? It's like, so now people are discovering that they can conjugate things in a different way. And also there are environmental constraints. So think about this. Most of the pollution that is created in the world is on commuting. And if you start thinking, what's the logic of going to a place 1 hour and coming back from the place 1 hour just to work? If we think about the office, what is the office? I will focus more in the office, not in industry, but in offices that are basically the biggest creator of commuters. The office is a place where you should have scale economies. So you would have a computer, you will have some other equipment that you share. But nowadays, with laptops, with mobile phones, with tablets, is it logical to go to a place to even bring your own device? There is some companies that have this policy, bring your own device. Is it logical? So maybe you can do it from home. Sometimes at home you have even better internet than at the office. And you have something that is not the disturbance, the complete disturbance, that people turn to do it to each other. They interrupt each other in moments that are not appropriate. So when you need to do something that is very important, a lot of people before were already isolating in their houses. They would say, oh, I will stay home because there is this important report that I have to do. And if I'm going to the office, it will not be possible. So we are seeing the falling of myths about working in an office. So another thing is that you now have the best digital technology and infrastructure, and tomorrow it will be even better. So new business will be possible. And we need to talk about the human digital transformation, because we have the technology, but the thing is, are we doing our own digital transformation? Digital transformation is not about buying the latest software, buying the latest equipment. It's about internalizing and using the tools in the correct way, and using in a way that you are more effective and, why not, happier. And also another model is experiment. Do a model that is the minimum viable product. So you do an experiment, check the market, and then you produce it. This is more possible than ever. There are new services. People are doing the services through Zoom that they were not even imagining of doing it. My own kid, for instance, he's a bodyboard instructor, and during the confinement, he was delivering training of bodyboard through Zoom. This would be absolutely impossible, because how you do it? He had to do it. So imagination is growing. So we can also add digital value to old products. So we see small shops that nowadays have e-commerce services that they thought that were like crazy for others. Think about the perception instead of reality. It is, your product has quality, your service delivers, depending on the perception of your customer. So, because we are reaching to the end, let me give you some fast tips. Rethink your organization. Use this time, use this opportunity, this challenge that is at the same time an opportunity to rethink your organization. Think about how you work, how your team works, how you deal with your team. Learn with this crisis. Not think that it is a crisis, it's a problem. Learn what you can from it. Use technology in a smart way, and not because it's fashionable. And one thing, communicate wisely. Even though we have, like I said before, we have an absolutely amazing menu of means to communicate, we are not using it in a correct way. We lose a lot of time in bad communication nowadays because we are trying out. We are like kids with new toys. And I want to give you a last picture, also from Portugal. This is a wave, a 30 meters wave. And this guy is an American, actually. He's surfing this wave. You can find this wave in Portugal every month, June, in a particular place. It is very well known by surfers. And this has been my final slide in a lot of presentations when I talk about the digital world. I was always saying a digital tsunami is about to come. And you have two possibilities: to be crushed or to surf it. The only possibility for you to survive is to surf it. So what I say to you is, now is up to you. Learn how to do it the best way. Thank you very much. And I will be available to the questions at the end. Thank you, Manuela. Thank
you very much, Felipe. A great ending of your speech. It's a very motivational speech that it's up to us so we can all be kind of a leader for the digital world to take that over. And actually, what I also really like about our 3 speakers so far, you mentioned like a red place. You have all mentioned balance, and you all have mentioned communication. So it's really great to see we have 2 key characteristics of a leader so far detected. So we will be curious about what comes next. And we just learned about digital age, and now we do a deep dive, a deep surf in the area of artificial intelligence. So our next speaker is Ronald Khan. Ronald Khan was admitted to practice law in Hong Kong since 2008. He is also qualified to be a lawyer in England and Wales, UK, and New South Wales in Australia. Ronald gained an all-rounded experience in multinational, local, and Chinese law firms. Recently, he passed a notary public exam and is ready to take on another role. He is a doctorate student and now in Taiwan researching on artificial intelligence and law. So Ronald thinks that our future is digital and artificial intelligence. So Ronald, the stage is yours. Oh, it seems that I'm a bit... it seems we have a technical issue. So Ronald has disappeared of our panel. If our next speaker is ready to take over, then I would just switch the order. Sorry for the inconvenience. And Ronald will be then our last speaker after that, when technology is up and running again. You see, digital, it not always means that technology is always running in the best way as it can. So at least we have already discovered 2 characteristics of a leader. And so we like to go over to our Secretary General from our worldwide organization, Kevin Hin.
Ronald is back on the call again.
Oh, he is back. Fantastic. So Ronald, we did your introduction.
Thank you very much.
So the stage would be yours if you are ready to take it.
Yes, thank you, Manuela, and greetings to all our speakers and the audience. I'm very happy to be here and share my thoughts with you. I just shared my screen, I have a PowerPoint, and thanks to the inspirational sharing from Philippe, I'm actually going to echo what he's just shared with us. So some of my credentials, I have a legal background and also an accounting background. Okay, so all of you will be familiar with this screenshot. It's actually a screenshot of an online meeting. And before the pandemic, we are not really used to meeting online because we think sometimes the connection will jump off and it's so distracting to meet online. It's better to meet face to face. But I think because of this pandemic, we are actually meeting more often online. And wherever you are in the world, in the past, if you are invited to a meeting overseas, sometimes you can reject because you can say that, oh, because of my tight schedule, I can't come to your country. But now, because of technology, wherever you are, you really cannot say no to a meeting unless you have an accident. So that's a good thing because we are actually meeting more often than before and connecting more often than before. And I suspect that actually after this pandemic, because we are so used to meeting online, that we'll continue to be meeting online even though the virus has gone. And one of the things I find different from a traditional meeting and an online meeting is that in a traditional meeting where you sit at a square table or an oval table, you see the leader sitting at the front. But if you are in a virtual meeting, if you are online, it's very hard to see who the leader is. And if we continue to meet online into the future, then this sort of challenge will continue to happen in the future. I'm now going to show you a video, and I'd like you to think who the leader is in this video. All right, we only have 30 seconds for the video. So who do you think the leader was? Well, I haven't watched it. So if some of you have watched it, you might know more than me. But from someone who, like you, may not have watched it, who do you think the leader was? Is it the lady who was driving the car because she's actually bringing forward the action? Was it the man behind the computer because he's looking at the stats and all that? Is it this bossy lady because she's speaking on the cell phone and maybe connecting with important people and knowing the inside story and all of that? Who do you think the leader was? Well, have you thought about the leader could actually be the computer because it has access to so many information? Well, this is a part of computing which we are all familiar with, which is AI, artificial intelligence. AI may not be something which is so fancy like a Google automatic car or, for example, a vacuum cleaner in your home which cleans for itself. AI can be much subtler than that. And if you have noticed in the video, there are some boxes around objects. And this is actually a type of AI called object detection. It tells you what the things you see in the screen are. For example, in this screen, you'll see a chair, a person, you'll see a tie, a laptop, a monitor, and here a cell phone. So this object detection technology has been used recently in, for example, here. It's doing two things. First, the object detector is telling you which of these objects are humans. And the second thing is, have they been observing social distancing? So if they're getting close to each other, the frames around them will change from green to red, and that will alert the authorities that this place, people are not observing social distancing, and the authorities may need to do something about it. So technologies like this are helping people to make decisions. All right, besides statistics, AI also have a stream called natural language processing. And for example, if you want to know what the majority of people think on a particular issue, you can analyze thousands or millions of articles, documents. You can even look into people's Facebook messages, their tweets, and their emoticons. And from all of those, the AI will tell you from a sentiment analysis what people think on a particular issue. And so not even stats, words, pictures, and all of those can help people to make different types of decisions. This is a Google Duplex introduction, which is made in 2018. It was stunning at that time. If you have watched this video in 2018 when it was released, you have a user who wants to make a haircut appointment between 10 and 12 on a Tuesday morning. And Google Duplex will help you to call this hairdresser and to make that appointment for you. And the hairdresser would not know that he or she is speaking to an AI. And from this introduction, actually, the hairdresser could not offer a booking at that time. So the AI actually asked for another time for the hairdresser to make an appointment for the user. And so here you may think, oh, did the AI actually consult the user? Or did the AI check the user's diary or the user's calendar to see if he or she is free at another time slot? So we have here AI actually making decisions for us, not just helping us, but actually making it. If AI is reliable, then of course we can trust it, but AI may not be reliable all the time. This is an example in 2011 when IBM Watson was invited to a question and answering competition on TV. And the question was, name a US city which has the largest airport and which is named after a World War II hero. And the IBM Watson machine got this wrong because it gave the answer Toronto, and we know that Toronto is not a US city. And why did it make this mistake? Because first, Toronto is actually a World War II hero. And second, Toronto is a US city. It's just a very small city in the US that doesn't have an international airport. So AI is very smart, but what it can't do is to combine different knowledge in different domains. And humans are still very knowledgeable to put together different pieces of information from different domains. And this is something which humans can do better than AI at the moment. So if you want to be a future leader and you want to outbeat AI, I'm not telling you that you should be a jack of all trades. There should be something else which AI is not smart at and which you can step in. If you grab any AI 101 textbook, you will learn about the sort of difference between humans and AIs and how can you evaluate whether or not AI is actually imitating a human or not. And from an AI textbook, it tells you that an AI system can act rationally, think humanly, and act humanly. It may or may not do that. Of course, for any computer system, they can act and think rationally because computers are made to do that. But how about acting and thinking humanly? That's actually on another level, which may or may not be achieved by AI, especially if you are talking about thinking humanly. It's where, quote, that you have a machine with minds and you have the automation of activities that we associate with human thinking, such as decision-making and problem solving and learning. Not all AI systems have achieved this standard. And when you think about the future, if AI is going to lead or humans are going to lead, then maybe we still stand a chance because AI systems still cannot act and think humanly. And have you heard about AI being judges? If you have a commercial dispute, a lot of internet platform will allow you to resolve your disputes with the help of an AI. Well, that's easy enough. For example, I buy something for you, I didn't pay you, and you sue me online, and the AI system says that I need to pay you back. That's simple enough. But for example, for professional cases, negligence cases, say a doctor has acted, someone may say that he has acted beyond the, below the standards of what a community would expect a doctor would act. And could an AI system actually give the judgment that a doctor has acted negligently? Well, the majority of the population of the community may not endorse what the AI has come up with because this is very much within the domains of human judgment. And so when you think about whether or not humans can outbeat AI, whether or not humans can be future leaders, think about a situation where if you are sick and you ask the AI whether or not you should take pill A or pill B, and the AI tells you that you should take pill A, and you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you that you should take pill B. Of course, you trust the doctor. But what if you ask your mother and your mother doesn't have any background in medical science and she tells you to take pill B? Would you trust your mother? In a similar case, if you are a trustworthy leader and a person comes up to you and asks you one question and asks the AI the same question, do you think that person would trust you? Well, here comes to the fact whether or not you have built up your reputation as a trustworthy person. If you have that background, if people trust you, if you're reliable, then they will believe you more than the AI. So what I believe a future leader should possess is a track record where you have been honest, that you have been reliable, so that people will trust you, place their trust and confidence in you above the AI. And that's our future leader, and you will become one of them. Thank you very much.
A very impressive speech, Ronald. Thanks. It's a very good ethical question, especially who to trust, if it's the computer or the human person. So yes, that's really something we have to think of, especially in regarding of leadership. What does it mean in the next future? Who do we follow? Who do we lead? Or the other way around, who is our leader? So yeah, AI means that we have to provide the information, right? So human are forming the AI leader at the end, because we form the technology that is then replacing our human leaders. Okay, thank you very much for all those insights. It's really great to follow all the scenarios of the future that we will have probably. So starting from male and female to communication experience experts, to the digital world, which we are the ones to build up, and then also to the next level, the computer takes over leadership for our lives. Yeah, now we originally should have Sergei Burlakov as the next speaker. He is a very motivational speaker with all his background that he provides. But unfortunately, he cannot share his insights with us at this moment. So I have to excuse him that he will not be with us at this time. But nevertheless, you already had fantastic speakers, and we still have one left. So we're now getting to our Secretary General, Kevin Hin. And maybe you know of JCI that we say we are the ones developing the leaders for a changing world. That's the slogan. So I'm really curious about what is JCI doing to develop the leader of the future, and how does the leader of the future look like in the opinion of JCI. So let's introduce Kevin Hin. He currently serves as the JCI Secretary General, responsible for managing the JCI headquarters team and for supporting President, Board of Directors, and members around the world to achieve the strategic goals of the organization. He holds a master's degree in international accounting and finance from the London School of Economics. He brings in a strong business and entrepreneurial background, having most recently worked as Deputy Sales Director for the APM Monaco jewelry brand and a sales and marketing consultant. In his spare time, he also writes blog articles about the French Riviera and global travel. So, dear Kevin, listening to our speakers before, what do we need to do, or what will we do at JCI to develop leaders? The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Manuela. And first of all, I want to say greetings to everybody from sunny Monaco. And thank you, Manuela, for your excellent moderation as always, and for introducing everybody. So before I talk about the leader of tomorrow, I'm just going to share a few experiences I've had just listening to all the other speakers talking about their vision of tomorrow's leaders. And I was thinking, everybody is thinking forward to what's going to happen. But over the last 15 or 20 years in my business career, I've also experienced lots of experiences of a leader of the past, which I just wanted to highlight, and how basically we should not behave moving forward. It's the leader of the past. It's somebody who divides terrain. It's somebody who doesn't want to exchange information and believes in asymmetric information to be able to have an advantage. It's somebody whose ego primes above everything, and the mini emperor, as I call it, who always tries to push over his or her ideals before the common interest. It's somebody who doesn't really care about their team and gives orders without giving any justification or explanation. It's the person who believes that titles are more important than actions. And finally, it's people who call themselves leaders and help define themselves as leaders. People who call themselves leaders are the ones with the least leadership skills, in my experience. So this is something which I'm happy to hear from the other speakers does not define the leader of the future. And this is not what the kind of leader we are trying to define at JCI. Over the course of my 17 years as a JCI member, in parallel to my 17 or 20 years of business experience, luckily I've been able to see the real JCI leader being created. And this is simply what we're trying to do at JCI headquarters right now, is developing leaders for a changing world. Now, as you know, we changed our tagline last year, moving away from the notion of global leadership of young active citizens, where JCI was focusing on directly impacting the communities with the help of members. And we're moving back towards the development opportunities side of the JCI mission, where we first impact individuals and young people. And when I talk about young people, I'm thinking first and foremost about our members, who are the people we serve principally, because without our members, we are nothing. And when our members are ready and have been developed as leaders, then they can impact communities, but only when they're ready. Now, how do we get our members ready for that? Is by taking enterprising young talents who are not yet fully fledged. So for example, young members aged 25 to 30 with a couple of years of professional background and with latent leadership skills which are not yet fully fledged. We provide them with development opportunities through programs and trainings in the fields of business and entrepreneurship, international cooperation, individual development, and community impact. And when they are ready and they have become masters of not just one, but all 4 areas of opportunity in equal measure, then they become the JCI leader, and then they can become leaders in government, business, or civil society. And then, and only then, do they become vectors of positive impact in the world. So this is how we are developing leaders for a changing world. Now, let me go a bit into more detail on what the JCI, on the real user persona and the characteristic of a JCI leader who masters all 4 areas of opportunity. First of all, it's somebody who is business savvy. It's somebody who actually knows how to read a balance sheet, who knows how to manage a team and lead a team, but also has strategy, understands marketing, understands how everything comes together, and is also open to new technologies like artificial intelligence and open to digital transformation. So with an open mindset, and obviously a great communicator too. So the business side is very important. Also, somebody who has strong individual development. JCI provides the leadership opportunities to help people learn how to speak in public, to be able to manage projects and therefore manage teams and lead teams to move forward and achieve tangible results using what we currently call the active citizenship framework, but which is going to be completely renamed and expanded to all 4 areas of opportunity, and rebranded as a project management tool like it was 15 years ago. Using needs analysis and project evaluation, bring together partners as well to be able to come up with a strong project. It's also somebody who is internationally minded and open-minded, who, if they cannot find opportunities at home, they can find them somewhere else in their country, or else leveraging the global network which we can offer, and which will be even more accessible next spring when we launch our new IT platform, which will bridge the gap between 150,000 members around the world on a global mobile app and social network to be able to exchange on business and projects as well. And finally, and probably most importantly, the glue that brings all these skills together is the caring side, somebody who cares about the community, somebody who has strong interpersonal skills, as President Chiara was saying, somebody who has strong life-work balance, who cares about others, and who is an ethical and agile and well-educated leader. When I talk about education, it's not necessarily having 10 years of postgraduate diplomas, but it's somebody who actually does opens their mind to others and who cares about others and who has strong balance. Solidarity, ethical leadership, those are the main keys. What we are trying to develop as an organization is the leader who is not just an expert in one of these 4 areas of opportunity, but who goes towards the center, again, as President Chiara was saying, strong balance, and therefore can be agile and quickly adapt to new circumstances in a changing world. And this is precisely the kind of leader we are trying to develop right now. Somebody who doesn't only see challenges and wilt in the face of adversity, like the adversity and the challenges we have faced, not just at JCI, but all around the world. Our members have been faced by the economic and social challenges and the health crisis in equal measure around the world, but the JCI leaders does not wilt in the face of adversity. He or she takes these challenges, takes them head on, grabs the bull by the horns and transforms them into opportunities to grow and to improve as leaders, but also as a global movement too. And this is what we're trying to do, to develop these leaders. And these are the kind of talents we need. And this is why we're not talking anymore about young active citizens who help the community and focus only on charity projects. We're talking about developing enterprising young leaders for a changing world. Not leaders and entrepreneurs either, because you can be an entrepreneur and only manage one person and be your mini emperor and all that. But you could also be a non-entrepreneur and managing 100 people as a division and being an intrapreneur as well. So we don't want to limit ourselves to entrepreneurs, but to people with the true enterprising and entrepreneurial mindset, even though they don't open a business. So I hope this sums up what JCI is trying to do in developing leaders for a changing world, impacting individuals first, who can then become leaders and impact communities, so that the whole movement can develop its impact. And we're currently anchoring ourselves once again in economic reality using the JCI Rise initiative, so to sustain and rebuild economies as well. But that's the topic for another discussion, which I'll be happy to just talk to you about another time. I wish you all the best and hand back to Manuela. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Kevin. That's a perfect summary of the characteristics of a leader. It has been mentioned by all of you, not in that direct words how you just did, Kevin. So a leader should be business savvy. He should have a strategic mind. He should be able to manage and lead teams. He should be internationally minded and open-minded especially. He should have a caring part. That's the part with the balance of your life and business. Should be well educated, should have the right moral, the ethical part of it. And he should be, I'm saying he for also mentioning she and they, so sorry. And he, she, they should also be the one to take the challenges and see the opportunities and to turn the challenges into opportunities. Fantastic. Thank you very much for the summary. You all had that. The communication part was also there in a very strong part mentioned by everyone, and that directly. So as we summed up what you all said about a leader, what he should do, and also how you I would love to actually then have the picture of all of you speakers in the room so that the audience can see all of us. So when we think of what a leader is and what this near future probably looks like, especially at the moment with this COVID-19 situation, I would like to ask all of you to answer very shortly what you think are the biggest challenges for a leader at the moment. We can go with our lady first. President Chiara, if you want to start, and you are more than welcome to do so. So we keep the order. Then, okay, Konstantin would be the next. Mm-hmm.
Lady first. So, as I mentioned before, I believe that one of the greatest challenge is that a leader must do what is right instead of what is popular. And very often what is right is not popular quite at all. So be able to make the right decision popular, or at least not so much unpopular, in this communication era, I believe is the key. And as I mentioned before, ladies has a little advantage in this.
Thank you very much. Great statement. Konstantin, what do you think is the biggest challenge for leaders?
Знаете, спасибо, Chiara. Очень хороший.
Thank you, Chiara. Great commentary. Two aspects, primarily. So it's a complicated and changing world, this pandemic world, the world of pandemic. You need to take responsibility. You need to calculate your steps going forward and lead by example. Whatever situation arises, you need to collect as much information and resources as possible and demonstrate to others that in any situation you can resolve it and be a winner. So you have risks and you have windows of opportunities. You need to find them and take responsibility. And secondly, today leaders should be especially effective in terms of communications and emotions. So when they interact with other people, with loved ones, with colleagues, people come out from this pandemic crisis in an easy way. They're stressed, they're fearful, they have multiple phobias, and they're concerned about the future. What will happen to our lives? They're so uncertain. We need to support them. We need to give them a personal example and support them as much as we can and speak their language and demonstrate by that in this changing world we have opportunities.
That's also a very good point, to support the leaders, that they still keep the energy. Okay, then let's continue with you, Felipe. What do you think is the biggest challenge for leaders today?
Well, I will continue on the path that Konstantin just put it, leading by example. And in a world that we have a generation that is my generation and above that are in leadership positions, and they are not digital natives, and they have to lead a digital transformation of humans. And this is quite important, thinking that, for instance, what Ronald was talking about, the artificial intelligence, because we need to be the masters of technology and not the slaves of technology. And only with leaders that understand the role of technology, that are also using it as an example to others, only those leaders can lead on the 21st century.
Also a very strict statement. Thank you very much. Ronald, you can continue.
Right, thanks. Philip has summarized it very well. So I'm going to just add a bit to that. Think humanly and act humanly, and build a repertoire of trustworthiness so that people can rely on you. And AI is only a tool and not the mastermind. Thank you.
Okay. I would like, I mean, we are somehow at the end, so, but I would really love to have a separate discussion about the digital ways and the influence on leadership, actually, because I think that this is really, really a huge impact on how we use technology and how we are used by technology at the end. So, Kevin, your state for the question of the biggest challenges for a leader at the moment.
Yeah, I thank you for that. So much I could say about that. Actually, I'm just going to sum up by not talking about theory, because I don't have any theories on this issue. I'm just going to say what I did in the last 7 months with my team at JCI headquarters in the face of adversity. The first thing is always leading by example, as has been said before, and making sure that the team understand your direction and follow, especially in these troubling times, that you have a strong relation of trust. Because when you're working with a team, having a successful team means that you have a happy team, which and to understand their needs and how they can follow, and to make sure they understand you as the leader and where you're going. The second thing is being agile and being adaptable to all circumstances, bending and not breaking, and just understanding the needs and fixing the strategy accordingly, leveraging technology, for example. The third thing is understanding what your desired outcome must be in all circumstances and going towards that direction, knowing that if you don't have a plan A, you can apply a plan B or a plan C accordingly, and have that backup plan ready to implement, and make sure your team is ready to implement this as well. The final thing I want to say is, as I said, challenges present opportunities. And as a leader, the modern leader must be ready to seize all opportunities. Don't turn down an opportunity unless you really have to. Don't say no. You never know, even if you accept, you can open new doors and new opportunities, and so on and so forth. This is something I've done all through my career at JCI and elsewhere, so that it seems to have worked so far, so hopefully, touch wood, it will do in the future. Yeah, always keep an open mind and keep moving forward in the right direction. As President Kjaga said, it's important to also stay true to one's values and do what is right, even though it's not popular. And if you need to, you spin it in the right way, as a great communicator should. So yes, I think that sums it up. It's not very theoretical. I just wanted to share my practical experience of what has been done in the past and how we will carry on evolving. It's essentially applying what I did, being the JCI leader and working on all 4 areas of opportunity with proper balance, like taking that theory and implementing it in practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the fantastic statements. Actually, I would love to pin them somewhere because I think they all are really important points and challenges to address too. And I'm also happy to have with you on the panel such experts on also how to overcome those challenges and how to educate, I would say, in getting better and knowing what is the right way and how to still communicate it even though it's unpopular, or with regard of the technology, to educate on how we can use technology and how we should master the technology, that it really supports us and does not change the roles, that the computer takes over leadership and we have no human leadership at the end. And it's also very essential with communication. We have a few minutes left and no questions from the audience. So it's a last chance for you on the stage. If you want to have, with just 1 minute, a key statement about leadership, or what you want to say to our audience, what they should do, could do, like a short motivation on how to follow the path to a leader, and further develop and improve the society or the world. Here especially we're talking about Euro-Asian connections. So it's also a world coming together, which is really fantastic. Thanks also for mentioning the international mindset, and also to see the channel, the panel with Europeans and Asians. That's, in my opinion, the right step into our leadership future. So shall we go in the same direction as before? Dear Chiara, do you like to start with a short last message to the audience? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manuela. I heard very interesting ideas from all the speakers, and I grabbed one word, which is responsibility, that I would like to underline. While traveling around the world in 2013, I remember I was talking about individual social responsibility. At that time, everybody was talking about corporate social responsibility, and I remember I was saying corporate social responsibility is vital, but it's not enough. Because there are challenges that cannot be addressed without individual social responsibility. I believe now more than ever, everybody understood the importance of individual social responsibility to overcome the big challenge we have in front of us. I don't know if it's for this reason that the ISR video is still the one with more views on YouTube published by JCI. I didn't do it, I just asked for it. In Singapore, they did it for us in 2013. I don't know if it's for this reason, because it was and it is relevant, but I do honestly believe that a leader must really be an example of individual social responsibility. If you are able to be an example of individual social responsibility, also others will, and all together we will overcome whatever challenge in front of us.
Thank you very much. That's really motivational and optimistic. Konstantin.
Да, буквально 2 слова. Спасибо всем выступающим сегодня. Очень интересно, и, как всегда,
Thank you so much to all the speakers. I've heard bright ideas, I've met brilliant people, and what I would like to share with you is that to those business people, and there's one idea that I would like to share, like happy people bring more money. So just try and make people that work with you would be more happy, would be more satisfied by working within your team, by being more satisfied with all their efforts within your company. Secondly, so JCI platform is one of those institutes, one of those platforms that enables you to learn from the best. And in this world today, we have this great opportunity to pick out our teachers. So what JCI does is selecting the best trainers, the best teachers through the process of filtration of numerous specialists from different countries, different markets, different companies, be it the public sector or the private sector, be it international organizations or transnational companies. So these are the people that are very prominent and they learn from the best, and it's the very opportunity that the JCI is offering to you.
Thank you very much also for the promotion for JCI to take the opportunity and learn in JCI. Thank you very much. Then final statement, Philippe.
Well, that's why I deal very well with Konstantin, because we have a kind of very connected mind. And I would even go a little bit further, because we, as leaders, we need to consider ourselves that we are working in a world where there is a collective brain that is all the talents that we can tap anywhere in the world. And we can use a kind of steroids on it. So we can use even artificial intelligence on that. But also think about JCI as a worldwide platform of talents that you can tap, brains that you can tap in any place in the world, that you can have perspectives around the world, because we live in a world that has a lot of media, a lot of communication, but nothing beats a proper conversation with the people on the place, on the local level. So this is the JCI, as the members and also as the senators. I have here the senator symbol, I'm pointing to the wrong place, is a wonderful network of talents that can help you as a leader to grow much further than you think and go beyond expectations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philippe. Ronald, your final statement.
Right, thanks. I think I'm running to risk of repeating what our excellent speakers have said, but for my summing up, I would think that one important way to show and act humanly is to show empathy. And our girls, you are very good at showing empathy. And I think President Chiara is right that you'll be the leader of the future, but men don't give up. I think for men to show empathy is to communicate more, as our speakers have said. Do try to know where people are coming from. Why do they think like this? Why do they do such things? I think the more you talk to people, the more you understand where they're coming from, the more that you'll be empathetic in the way that you interact with them, or the things that you choose to say to them. So speak more to people, and AI can definitely help you, because I think the greatest barrier between people is the language barrier. And AI does have that technology, not only to translate word for word, but actually to translate in terms of different cultures. So through AI, you get to communicate more with people and to show empathy. So girls, you're doing great. Guys, we'll keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronald, for bridging the gap between females and males. So, Kevin, your last message.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that. So how can I follow Ronald after what he's been saying? Bridging the gap is actually something I did want to mention because I want to put things back into the context of this European Euro-Asian Business Summit as well, which is a prime example of leaders getting together despite the physical gap to be able to do business and network as well. And this is also where JCI is showing leadership right now, to be able to bridge the gap at all levels between Europe and Asia, and where the true leader at JCI can be developed by having an open mind. During the course of this conference today, there are speakers from India, from Western Europe, from Eastern Europe, from South Asia, from Central Asia, from Eastern Asia, all the way from France and Spain and Portugal, all the way to Japan, actually, so from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. And this is a prime example of the scope of JCI right now. And why are we all on this meeting today? It's because many of us are JCI members and JCI enterprising young leaders with this open mind, which is then conducive to more business relations as well. And as I said earlier, business is not just about making people rich, it's also about impacting, creating social welfare and creating jobs and boosting economic growth. So I do believe we're on the right path as long as we follow the path of the balanced and the balanced JCI leader who's a master of all four areas of opportunity. So if we keep moving in this direction, I'm pretty sure that the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have to say a big thanks to all of you, to our speakers, Chiara Milani, Konstantin Abramov, Felipe Carrera, Ronald Kahn, and Kevin Hin for this great insights. We learned a lot about the leader for the future and how we all can contribute to influence our future. Also, thanks to the audience for listening, and I wish all of us a great future and, of course, lots of success on the path further to taking on the leadership. So I wish all of the audience and also you lots of fun and with the next and insights, of course, with the next panel or masterclass at the Europe Asia Business Conference. Thank you very much.